All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and we are here to check out this 2021 Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring Reserve with the turbo and all-wheel drive. So who do we have to thank for this opportunity? It is none other than Capital Mazda in Cary, North Carolina, and I will leave all of Will Rodden's information down in the description box below. And speaking of Will Rodden, congratulations, Timothy, for purchasing a CX-5 from here. Very good. But anyway, with all that established, let's just get this bad boy out on the road because I'll be honest, not much has changed with the 2021 CX-5. I've done plenty of reviews on the CX-5 from 2019, 2020, all that good stuff. So I'll leave all those review links down in the description box below. But I want to check this out because it's just nice. You know, it's just a nice automobile. So it is a blessing for normal people to go ahead and purchase a Mazda, and that's why I like these vehicles, because they are much nicer than what they need to be. So we'll be talking about the pros and cons of this vehicle as we get this thing out on the road. But for 2021, some of the major changes that they made is this infotainment screen, which I'll talk more about in the interior segment. That is a 10.25-inch screen that you get out of the Mazda 3 and the Mazda CX-30. So it's a new one. It works great, all that good stuff. Also, you have the addition of a carbon edition, basically. That's the new model trim that you can get. Kind of sits above a touring model with the SV package on it. So you get a lot of goodies there with the carbon edition. You even have the Bose audio as an option, I believe, on that model trim. You get the red interior, and some other things that you get is you have the option of getting either the regular 4-cylinder or the turbo like this vehicle has, but you can get that turbo engine with front-wheel drive actually in the carbon edition. So that's another option. Usually you would have to go to the top trim levels like this Touring Reserve or Signature model to get the turbo model, and you have to get it with the all-wheel drive. We'll see how all this stuff pans out on the road here because, you know, I'm very excited to drive this car once again because these are excellent cars. I really do thoroughly enjoy driving them. They have typically the nicest interiors. I mean, I'll talk more about that in the interior segment, but I mean, this is no different from like an Audi Q5. I kid you not, it's pretty much like an identical interior space. It's very excellent. I mean, yeah, one of the cons is it does cost a bit more than your typical Toyota, Honda, Kia, Hyundai type product, but dude, again, you got to pay up for this quality and the level of craftsmanship, if you want to say, that they shoved into this vehicle for a car that is not a luxury car or a luxury brand. That's pretty amazing, but that's something else to talk about. So Mazda is actually trying to be more so of an upscale luxury brand. Long gone are those days of the Mazda Speed and the zooms and all that stuff. That's no more. They're going for 100% refinement. So this might sound pretty good on paper. Well, before we talk about what's good on paper, let's talk about the exterior first, because even the exterior exudes like this high quality fit and finish and look and feel. I mean, it does look fantastic, and I really do appreciate that. But you let me know in the comment section, do you like the way this vehicle looks? I think it's clean from every angle, front, side, rear, all that stuff. The quarter angles, I appreciate it a lot. Let's see here. Not bad, not bad. But again, this is actually the all-wheel drive, so you know it's going to stick pretty good. I guess, you know, let's just transition over into that, into the drive now, since kind of floored it there. So this car, it does drive excellent, especially with the all-wheel drive. It has a nice planted, short-footed feel. I will say this vehicle does weigh about 3,500 to 3,800 pounds. This model is definitely closer to that 3,800 pound mark. And why is that? It's because it's got the all-wheel drive, the turbo motor, all that good stuff. That could be something that they can improve upon. You know, they could bring the weight down a little bit because, like that hood, for instance, it weighs a ton. I mean, like it is quite a heavy hood that they actually put on these vehicles. You know, it does weigh a lot when you kind of feel it. And, you know, Toyota, they typically use like an aluminum hood, which keeps the weight down quite a bit. But again, it's not a huge detriment to me because that heavy curb weight feel, that's what gives it a nice substantial feel out on the road. And when you sit in this thing, you do feel like you're sitting in a proper SUV, so that's pretty good. You feel like you're sitting up a little bit higher, even with the seat setting at the lowest setting. So it's a good little touch, I suppose. And now talk about this motor here. So this particular model is fitted with that 2.5 liter turbocharged motor, and this thing does produce about 250 horsepower and about 320 pound-feet of torque. And again, that does sound pretty amazing on paper, but here's the thing with that motor. It is definitely tuned to be a smooth engine, basically. It's not designed to be a rocket. You know, another thing that Mazda does is they actually do fit a decent amount of torque steer into their vehicles, and the reason why they do that is to control that power. You know, this is mostly a heavily front-wheel drive based vehicle, and especially if you get the carbon edition with the front-wheel drive turbo, then you know it's a lot of power to be putting down to the front wheels only. So they bake in like this torque steer to kind of help mitigate that, put the power down a little bit better. See, that's where a company like Honda does a better job with the handling and driving dynamics. They put a lot of power down to the front wheels only, and they do an excellent job with it. So I will give the marks to Honda. I mean, it is a truly excellent driving car, but I will say as a whole package, because a Honda is a tin can, that's the thing, you know, the interior sucks, and as opposed to this, I mean, this is a truly like a luxury car experience. I do find this to be far superior. Other things, you know, it's got strut-based suspension up front, a multi-link in the rear, typical for this class, of course. And again, like I mentioned, we could see a bit more use of aluminum here, but you know, they put all their money into the interior that I really don't care personally. I'm totally fine with it. This thing gets about 22 city, about 27 on the highway, MPG wise, for a vehicle of this power and with all-wheel drive and this type of weight. Totally acceptable, honestly. If you get the front wheel drive, you might get 1 MPG better, either way, you know, city or highway, so there's that. And I'm about to take it on the highway here in a little bit. One of the things I noticed, though, this vehicle has double pane glass, just like the CX-9. And I actually said in my CX-9 review, because I also did a 2021 CX-9 review as well, I would pick that vehicle, even like a base model version, over one of the CX-5 trims, because it's just so freaking refined. I feel like this car is also going to be extremely refined as well, because I did not know these things came with double pane glass. I don't know if that's a change that they made for 2021, because I need to go back and watch my 2019 reviews, honestly. I'm kind of merging onto the little highway here. See, here's the thing. The way they definitely have this thing programmed, it's definitely a smooth transition, both in these transmission and engine delivery power. Here's the thing, I'm doing some legitimate speeds, and it is very quiet here. There's only a slight bit of like wind noise, but it's not wind noise, it's just like the natural wind buffeting that's coming through, because it is quite a windy day. There's not a ridiculous amount of tire noise. These things are rocking some Toyo tires, 225 wide, so it's not super wide tires or anything like that, but it still grips pretty good, so I appreciate that. You know, the brakes perform extremely well. It is weighted perfectly, and handling these curves, I mean, the steering wheel, the steering feedback is absolutely excellent. It is weighted correctly. You can kind of put it into the sport mode here. It doesn't really do much of anything. It just doesn't really tighten up the steering or anything like that. But it will make the 6-speed react extremely much more responsive. And it will start to hold the gears a little bit as well. But honestly, I like to drive this thing around in the normal mode, if I'm going to be honest with you. Normal mode is perfectly acceptable, because here's the thing, though, the 6-speed, it is a 6-speed automatic, so there's not a whole bunch of gears for it to jump down, which is a great thing. You know, busting this little U-turn right here. Not too much drama. This one is not peeling out as much, and I actually said that in the CX-9 review I did as well. Mazda has tuned these newer vehicles to not torque steer as much, so that's, I guess, a good thing. But yeah, most importantly, as a daily driver, this is pretty quiet, comfortable. That's the most important thing. Even with these 19-inch wheels, this is extremely comfortable. If you go down to the lower kind of base trims, you have this option of getting a 17-inch rim option. So that's amazing that even with these larger wheels, it is still handling itself extremely well, both handling wise and comfort wise. And comfort is absolutely the most important thing with a vehicle like this. But you'll kind of throw it into this little corner right here. You know, honestly, this body, even though it has some weight to it, even though it's sitting up a little bit higher, this body is really composed. I really like the way that this vehicle handles a curve extremely well. Very refined. It's the type of car that you can kind of drive it like a jerk off, and it'll be totally fine. You know, back on the highway here, again, at speeds, you know, it's definitely a very composed vehicle. You have a lot of confidence in this thing. Yeah, even closer to like those triple-digit speeds, dude. This is a very refined car to drive. Obviously, I traveled out to the Autobahn to do this, of course, obviously. Yeah, you can drive this car like a total douche, and it's incredible, man. Like, but most importantly, though, it's just way nicer than the other competitors. You know what I'm saying? That's the most important part here. This is like near luxury car experiences without the douchebaggery involved with owning an actual luxury car. And here's the thing, you buy something like this, a lot of people, you seem to like when I say this, but your neighbors won't hate you. And this is like real life practical things. You have this lovely car, right, that you can live with every single day. It doesn't get boring. It's one of those cars, the more you drive it, the more you're going to like it, I feel like, because it's so freaking nice. People won't like hate you for owning a Mazda, you know what I'm saying? It's not like those other luxury cars. When you put those things on your driveway, people are like, "Oh, wow, look at him," right? It's like a topic of discussion around the dinner table for a lot of people in the neighborhood, right? With a vehicle like this, not so. It's just everybody still likes you. They're like, "Oh, wow, you bought a Mazda. That's cool." And you're driving around a lovely car. I'm not joking. I'm not downplaying this thing or anything like that. I'm just stating the facts here. I mean, this is all stuff to kind of take into account when you purchase a vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can drive this anywhere and not be afraid of getting mugged or something like that. Maybe that's not what Mazda wants to hear, but these are pragmatic things. Mazda is not yet an actual luxury brand. People still think that they're owned by Ford, and they're absolutely not. This is an absolute 100% Japanese car, made in Japan, all that good stuff. And the fit and finish and the way they produce these cars, it is literally like Lexus level. So, and I'll end off on this. I drove the regular 4-cylinder, non-turbo. I like that as well. I mean, these are normal cars. These are not meant to be rocket ships. This is not a rocket ship. It just gives you a little bit more ample passing power, but it doesn't throw you back in your seat or anything like that. That's not what this is about. This is just giving you that more refined power when you need it. But if you drive a little bit foot to the floor with a regular 4-cylinder, I feel like that power is also acceptable for what it is for everyday driving. So with all that stuff established, let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior, shall we? Okay, so inside the interior, I'm not going to go super in depth with this because I already covered this vehicle multiple times over, right? But I will say some of the new things that they add for 2021, I believe you get a few more safety features as standard, even on the base trim, so you get that. But also, you can actually do a remote start from your phone, actually. So it's not with your key fob, you actually do it on an app with your phone. So something to note, you can't do that with the 2020 model. So that's another change for 2021, and obviously the biggest change here is the infotainment screen, much like the CX-9. So all these new 2021 cars, they have the new 10.25-inch screen, which is excellent. It's not a touch screen, but it's very clean, very sharp. It reminds me of the BMW iDrive systems, but it's much cleaner than that. It's like Audi levels of cleanliness with the black levels, all that good stuff. It's a very sharp, high quality looking screen. It looks very good. I will say it is just stuck up here on the dash. Some people hate that. Me personally, I don't really mind it, but it's a good clean system. I appreciate that. Again, the fit and finish, all the crap here is fantastic, like you would expect out of a Mazda. I've said this multiple times, no normal automobile deserves to be this nice like a Mazda is. It's crazy that they are going upscale like this, but it's not that much more money than your competitors. So, and plus the lease prices are pretty good as well. So that's another great thing. I will say some of the drawbacks that they continue to do here is they keep putting like this piano black plastic material in the center here around the gear lever knob and the window switches, and I will say these windows, like I mentioned already, the windows are double pane glass, one touch up and down for all 4 windows, but that is very impressive. This is nearly as quiet as CX-9, not quite as quiet, but it's very close, and I appreciate that. It's like 95% there. It's a very impressive cabin space for quietness, all that good stuff, so I like that. And some of the other things to note, like I mentioned, the seating position is fantastic. The mirrors here are extremely large, very easy to see out of them. It's like a fishbowl driving this car. You got the Bose audio system here, which does sound excellent as well. So I do like that Bose system. Seats are fantastic, very comfortable. This is the white interior. If you can move up to the Signature, which is the absolute top trim, this is the model just underneath the Signature trim. This is what I would get. This is more than everything that you need here. With the Signature, you get the 360 view camera. It's not a big deal. It's not something that you're going to be missing. You also get the option of getting that very nice kind of brown Napa leather that you saw in my other CX-5 and CX-9 videos I've done in the past. So it is a nice interior, but so is this. And this is extremely comfortable seats. Mazda always nailing that, so I appreciate that. But this white interior is a little bit more difficult to clean up, as you can see here. But it's not a big deal. Just keep it clean. Other things that you get with this Grand Touring Reserve model is actually the heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel. Again, everything that you need here. Plenty of safety features, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, all that crap. So you have all that stuff, an amazing audio system, and you got a sunroof here, no panoramic, and plenty of space for me to sit behind myself. I'm about 5'11". This is the perfect step-in height to get in and out of this vehicle. Oh, speaking of seats, I forgot to mention this, but you got the memory seats here. It is electric seats for both the front and the passenger front seat as well. So driver's seat and the passenger seat. That's very rare to see in these kind of normal cars. But yeah, back to the back seats. I can fit behind myself. It's not a plethora of space, but it's still pretty good. Most important thing though is the trunk space is also decent. Again, a lot of people complain this is not the largest vehicle in the class, and it's fine, dude, for what you needed to use it for. Even though the rear seats are a little bit more compromised, the trunk space, they didn't, compromise it too much there. So I think this is definitely a livable package for most people, and it's a fine choice, you know what I'm saying? If you're looking at a CX-30 and you want something larger, well, this makes a lot of sense. And like I mentioned, the regular four-cylinder that I drove was also excellent as well. So I have no issues there. And yeah, that's pretty much a look at this 2021 CX-5. Not a whole lot has changed. They keep making these slight, minute refinements, like I mentioned in the driving segment. There's less torque steer here, but you can tell they're dialing it back, like the power and stuff, with some sort of electronics to keep the car steady, to keep the car stable at all times. Again, this is the all-wheel drive trim as well, so even with the all-wheel drive trims, I did notice a little bit of a torque steer with the vehicles like the CX-9s and stuff like that in the previous model year. So, again, great things to see them improve, but again, this is not a rocket ship. That's not why you buy this thing. You buy for the refined power, for that smooth four-cylinder. That's why you buy this thing. So if you can understand it, you can appreciate what Mazda is doing here. You get this extremely lovely car, solid, well-built, great material choices, nice smelling car, you know what I'm saying? That's something I forget to mention, some of these vehicles, nice smelling car. Go ahead, pull the trigger on it. This is a car that all the reviewers go gaga for, so, you know what I'm saying? This is definitely one to put on your short list. Definitely check it out. I feel like if you compared it to the other vehicles in the class, you might just buy this simply because of just how nice it is, and you won't even care if it costs a few grand more. So the money is well spent. Check it out, and if you found value with this video, leave a comment below. If you're an owner of this vehicle, also leave a comment. Tell me how it's treating you, how you like it with some miles on it. The next video will be showed on the end screen here. So I'll see you there. Take care. Goodbye.